Alright, Shalom, Shalom, Israel coming back at y'all with another video. And I'm going to give all praises to the Most High Yahweh, which the world calls God, and Yahweh Shai, which the world calls Jesus, right? Ignorantly not knowing the true name or identity of the Most High, the Father and the Son, right? And today's topic is going to be on false prophets, right? I did a video on the folly in the churches, right? Which is the same thing. This is basically the same thing because I'm going into the pastors that's in these churches, right? So I had to bring out some more precepts on it because the Spirit's just been compelling me to do this. So that's just what it is. When the Most High telling you to do something, that's what you're going to go with, and that's what you're going to do, right? Ultimately, right? Because a man's goings is not of his own, right? You don't just wake up and I'm going to just do this. Nah, the Most High put that in you to do that, right? And like I said, I'm getting on this because these churches are filling y'all up with lies, right? One of the lies they telling you is that, you come to my church. This is the first lie they tell you. You come to my church, God's in my church, right? God lives here. This is God's resting place. This is God's house, right? Well, let's go to Acts 7 and verse 48, right? We're going to get these precepts. Acts 7 and verse 48. Right? Because I'm about to cut these churches up. Because they bring a swift destruction to themselves, and they bring a swift destruction to the Israelites out there that are actually truly trying to seek out the Most High God. Right? Sloppy. Acts 7 and verse 48. Bear with me. Alright, so the book of Acts, chapter 7 and verse 48. Howbeit the Most High dwelleth not in temples made with hands, as saith the prophet. Heaven is my throne, and the earth is my footstool. What house will ye build me, saith the Lord? Or what is the rest, Slakia? Or what is the place of my rest? So he just shut that down, right? He just shut that down with a little bit of words, right? 2 little precepts, right? That just shuts down these false prophets and the things that they're teaching you, right? Like I just said, they tell you that when you come to my church, God is here. But it just said, howbeit the Most High dwelleth not in temples made with hands, right? So churches are made with hands, and he says he does not dwell there, right? He said heaven is his throne and earth is his footstool. He said, what house can you build me? So what house can we possibly build him, and he's going to live in there? He's going to rest there, sleep there, eat there, cook there, right? Look out the window, right? And look at the sunshine. Wake up in the morning there. Go to sleep there. In the afternoon there. Like, that don't, no. The scriptures don't lie. So these pastors are lying to you, right? They're supposed to be teaching you this book, but yet they're going contrary from what the Most High is telling you. He just said he don't dwell in temples made by hand. So how is he in these churches, right? Now we're going to go to Matthew 15 and verse 8, because it's a marketplace. The church is a marketplace, and they just, come on. It's sad, really, that a lot of us go to churches and are blinded by the lies that these churches are telling us, that are feeding us. They're feeding us garbage. All right, we're going to go to Matthew 15 and verse 8. This people draweth nigh unto me with their mouth, and honoreth me with their lips, but their heart is far from me. Right? And these churches, these pastors, they telling you, oh, praise Jesus. You feel me? And it's like it says in the precept, they draw nigh unto him with their mouth and with their lips, but their hearts is far away from them, from him, Slakia. Because if they're just saying Jesus, 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 God, 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 but they're going contrary from Slakia, they're contradicting the words that Slakia. They're contradicting the words that are given by the Most High God. So what God are they really serving, right? All they're doing is they're doing it, and it's vain. It's vanity. It's for no reason. Because if you saying God, 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 Jesus, 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 but you're not teaching God, 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 and Jesus, 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 so you drawing nigh unto him with your lips and your mouth, but your heart is far from him. Because you don't really intend to teach his word. You really intend to teach what you want to teach and get money and revenue from it, right? And gifts, right? Now we're going to go to the next verse 9. But in vain they do worship me, teaching for doctrines the commandments of men. And these teachers, these prophets, these false prophets are teaching the commandments of men. They're telling people that, they're telling women that they don't got to wear dresses. They're telling men that they don't got to wear fringes. They telling people that we don't got to follow the commandments, that we don't have to keep the Sabbath day, that we don't got to keep the high holy days, right? They telling you all these things, and it's like, but when you go into the Bible, it's saying that you're supposed to be doing all of the above. But yet the pastors are telling you otherwise, right? So in vain do they worship him, teaching for doctrines the commandments of men. They teaching the commandments. They teaching their own commandments. They teaching the commandments they want to teach, right? They're not teaching you what you're supposed to be doing, right? Now we're going to go to the verse up, verse 7, Matthew 15, verse 7. Ye hypocrites, well did Esaias prophesy of you, right? And the prophet Esaias already prophesied of these false teachers coming out and teaching these false doctrines, these doctrines of men, right, and women, these philosophies of the world, right? He already prophesied of these things coming to pass, right? And we're going to go to Titus 1 and verse 11. So like I said, well, like the precept said, Esaias already prophesied of these false teachers, right? This whole book prophesied. Well, a few chapters of this book prophesied of these false teachers coming out, teaching doctrines of men and teaching their own doctrines, right? Now we're going to go to Titus 1 and verse 11. Whose mouths must be stopped, who subvert whole houses, teaching things which they ought not. For filthy lucre say, filthy lucre is money, right? So they teaching things that they shouldn't be teaching for money, right? So when you go into these churches and when the tithe is being passed around and you putting your tithe money in, that money is going to the pastor's pockets, right? And the people that's walking around, right, they're it's going in their pockets too, right? The drummers, they probably getting some money too, right? And there's some churches that have people that they specifically pay to be like, and the pastor's like, the pastor will pay them and be like, before the church session starts, they'll be like, at so-and-so minute, this time or this hour, I'm gonna come around and start acting like I got the Holy Ghost and I'm gonna touch you and you're supposed to fall out. And you seen the video, these videos are going viral, right? And these pastors are doing this. It's really for money. These people are pretending to do these things for money, right? It's all a marketplace. It's a concert. In the lamest terms, church is a concert. Simple as that. Because when you go to church, they bring out one or two precepts, one or two, right? Sometimes not even two. Sometimes not even one, right? They just singing, oh grace, and singing and drumming and playing the saxophones and the guitars and singing and rapping and dancing. It's a damn circus. Like you paying for a circus, bro. And it's sad. It's sad that our people willingly go and pay for this stuff, right? Like, come on. It's false advertisement. One, they telling you that God is here. Then they telling you they're going to teach you salvation when they teaching you freaking doctrines of men. Teaching you that you don't got to follow the commandments. But in every single book you read, he says follow the commandments, or there's some lesson on following the commandments. That don't make no sense. There's nowhere in this Bible where he says, do not follow my commandments no more. We're in the new covenant. Stop following the commandments. Just do whatever the hell you want to do and you'll be fine. He don't say that nowhere. That's a lie, right? And we're going to read Titus 1 and 11 again. Whose mouths must be stopped. These people, these prophets, these false teachers, their mouths got to be stopped, man. Somebody got to put a clamp on their mouth. Somebody got to cut their mouth off, cut their tongue out, and maybe they'll learn something, right? Come on, something got to be done. Because they teaching you lies, man. They got this whole world mixed up in just lies and vanity and garbage and philosophies of men, right? Whose mouths must be stopped, who subvert whole houses, meaning destroy and tell these houses lies. Well, these these people lies, and they subverting whole houses. They making houses go from upright to upside down. They turning these houses upside down, right? Slakia, who subvert whole houses, teaching things which they ought not for filthy lucre's sake. And there it is, man. They teaching you these things. They teaching you these things for the sake of filthy lucre, for money. That's all it is. These things are being taught to you for the sake of money and riches, right? Now we're gonna go to Exodus 23 and verse 8. Right, we're gonna talk about that some more. Filthy lucre. Right, we're gonna talk about that some more. Actually, before I go there, I want to get 2 Peter 2 and verse 1 real quick. Slakia, bear with me. Slakia. So 2 Peter 2 and verse 1. Bear with me. Alright, 2 Peter 2 and verse 1. But there were false prophets also among the people, even as there shall be false teachers among you, who privately shall bring in damnable heresies, even denying the Lord that brought them, and bring upon themselves swift destruction. Right? So if they if they telling you that, you don't gotta follow the commandments, you can be gay and follow the word and be in this truth, right? They bringing damnable and they teaching damnable heresies, because when you go to the book of Leviticus 20 and verse 13, he tells you how being gay is an abomination, right? And that their blood shall be upon them. They shall surely die, Slakia, paraphrasing, and their blood shall be upon them, right? And churches are telling you things like this, and there's even gay pastors, right, teaching this word. That's folly and madness. Right? If the Bible is saying you can't be gay, why is it that there's these false prophets and false teachers that are coming out and they're gay themselves and teaching this law, right? So supposedly the law, right? Teaching the doctrines of men, as we just read. That's what they're teaching, right? And they're bringing swift destruction on themselves. If you teaching a whole congregation false things and lies, you don't think the Most High hears that? He's listening to that, and he's watching that stuff go down. And you bringing swift destruction on yourself, right? He got a beam or a target on you. There's a target on you in the last days. Verse 2, and many shall follow their pernicious ways, by reason of whom the way of the truth shall be evil spoken of, right? And there's people following the pernicious ways of these false teachers and these false prophets, right? And when the truth comes out, then they like, nah, you wicked, man. You can't be telling the truth. My pastor told me this, and that's what I'm gonna stick with, right? My pastor told me this. I never read it for myself, but my pastor not gonna lie to me, right? He got an education in this or a degree in this. He not gonna lie to me, right? And you don't need no damn degree to know the words of the Most High. The only way you gonna know the words of the Most High is if he put that spirit upon you to know this wisdom, and he's going to give the wisdom to those who deserve it according to him, right? You can't earn this wisdom. You can't, I've done a lot of good deeds, I deserve the spirit and the wisdom. He chooses who he wants to choose, right? There's a thing called, I'm not going to get into all that, but he chooses people, right? He chooses who he wants, right? And like I said, when the truth comes out, after these people following after the ways of these false prophets, and the truth actually comes out now, straight out of the scriptures, they like, nah, F you, nigga. I don't like you. You teaching lies. You teaching hate. You teaching blah, blah, blah. Well, there's hate in the Bible. When you go to Romans 9 and verse 13, the Most High clearly says that he hates, right? In other books, he says he hates. Proverbs, right? Ezekiel, right? So there's hate in the Bible, right? We're going to continue, verse 3. And through covetousness shall they with fiend words make merchandise of you. And These pastors, through covetousness, they making merchandise of you by fiending their words. Well, showing, Slaki, I'm going to reread it again. And through covetousness shall they with fiend words make merchandise of you. So they making merchandise off you with mixed up and scrambled up words, right? They go in here and reading a little bit of that, you know, put a little salt and the pepper there, right? And then they making this garbage up and feeding it to you, right? That's what they doing. They fiending the words of the Most High God, and they're making merchandise of you. They telling you, no, God loves all, right? You're supposed to donate this much to God. So if you're not donating to the church, you don't love God, right? They fiending the words of the Most High God. They mixing His words up is what that means, right? And telling you lies. Merchandise of you, whose judgment now of a long time lingereth not, and their damnation slumbereth not. So these pastors and these false prophets, they're gonna be damned, and their destruction is not lingering, right? It's not up for grabs. It's not up for debate. I meant to say, Slakia, right? When the time comes, they're gonna be destroyed, and they're gonna be swiftly destroyed, right? So you gotta, like, as a people and as a person with a brain, right, you gotta think about what these pastors are saying to you, and you gotta go back to the precepts and be like, you know, is this true, right? Like, when somebody comes to you on the street, you're not supposed to ever just, like, you know, take their word, right? You're supposed to look that up on your own, right? You're supposed to want knowledge, right? Only a dummy is gonna say, you know, I just believe you, brother. I don't want to look it up. I believe you. Your words is solid. All right, I believe you. No, even me. When I'm telling you these things, you got to actually read this yourself, right? Because this is the same thing these pastors do. They got the book in front of them. Oh, God, da-da-da, da-da-da. And they're not even reading from the damn text, right? They don't even know what book they in. They talking about John, but yet they in the book of Ezekiel. Like, you gotta search things out on your own is what I'm telling you, right? That's my point, right? And we're going to get into more about how these pastors, we're going to get 1 Peter 5 and verse 2. So 1 Peter 5 and verse 2. And it says, feed the flock of Yahweh which is among you, taking, and he doesn't mean like feed them with like bread, throw bread out there to them. He's meaning like teaching his word. Like right now, whoever's watching and is actually getting edified, I'm feeding you the words of the Most High God, because this is thus saith the Lord. I'm telling you, right? I'm going to start again at verse 2. Feed the flock of Yahweh which is among you, taking the oversight thereof, not by constraint, but willingly, not for filthy lucre, but of a ready mind, right? And here it goes again, saying you're not supposed to teach for filthy lucre, right? So again, these churches should not be taking money. They're not supposed to be taking money from you. Simple as that. They are not supposed to be taking money. That is against the law. When you teaching, you are not supposed to take money. He just said that in 3 precepts that I just read, right? So you got to deal with that. You have to deal with that, and you have to look back at these preachers and these false prophets and be like, whoa, I just dodged the bullet. I got to stay away from them, right? You got to start reading on your own, right? And he says, but of a ready mind. So you're supposed to be teaching with a ready mind, right? You're supposed to be ready to answer anything somebody has to ask you, right? When somebody asks you a question and you can't answer it, you should feel bad and be like, you know what? You should go and search that out. Whatever you couldn't answer, go search that out, so when somebody else comes to ask you, you got the answer for them. Boom. You're not going to know everything all at once, but once someone when someone confounds you, I don't want to say confound you, because that's like more of like like when somebody's shutting you down. But like when someone stumps you, right, and you be like, you know, I don't really know the answer to that. You're supposed to look it up for yourself and search it out and read and be diligent and be a student. When you being in this truth, you got to be a student, because you want to learn everything and soak up everything the Most High got to offer to you, right? Now we're going to go to, we're going to go to Exodus 23 and verse 8. The book of Exodus 23 and verse 8. Bear with me. And it says, and thou shalt take no gift, for the gift blindeth the wise and perverteth the words of the righteous. Right? So when you teaching, you should not take any gifts. Right? And what do these pastors do? They taking gifts. Miss Rebecca coming down the aisle. Pastor Simpson or Pastor Jenny or Pastor Jenkins, I liked your sermon the other day. I made you some cookies, some brownies, because I liked your sermon so much. You're supposed to say, no, I appreciate it, but take that home to your kids. Let your kids eat that, right? And you're supposed to teach her more and show her why you can't take this gift from her, right? Because some people, when you deny, when you don't take gifts, right? This world teaches you that when you don't take gifts, that's a sign of disrespect. No, it's not. Because the Bible says when you preaching, you shouldn't take gifts. So in that situation, that particular situation, you're supposed to show her, like, sister, the Bible, the Most High God say, I can't take gifts from you when I'm teaching this word to you. So, just give that to your kids and come back and I'll show you some more. I'll give you some more wisdom, right? That's what you're supposed to do, right? You're not supposed to take no gifts. We're going to read it again. And thou shalt take no gift, for the gift blindeth the wise. And when you take gifts, it starts blinding you, right? You start seeing just the gifts and the gain. If I say this to that person, I'm going to get this. If I say this to that person, she's going to give me this. If I say this to that person, I'm going to get this, right? So you're not supposed to be taking no gifts because it blindeth the wise and perverted the words of the righteous. In your words, you're going to start manipulating your words and start manipulating people and telling them lies, right? And start manipulating the Bible, right? And these churches, they out here celebrating pagan holidays. I wanted to get on that. They follow a lot of pagan holidays like Christmas, Halloween, right? Not so much Halloween. I really haven't, you feel me? I'm not gonna lie. I haven't really heard of a church celebrating Halloween. Only because Halloween clearly has an evil essence to it. But everything else still has an evil essence to it. It's just they just doing whatever they want to do. But they can't celebrate Halloween because then it's gonna look real bad. Then they're gonna expose themselves more than they already are exposing themselves. Right? But like Christmas, they take gifts on Christmas. The pastors will even buy gifts and give to people on Christmas, celebrating Christmas. But hey, Christmas is in the Bible, right? And Christmas came from the heathens. Birthdays, they celebrate that came from the heathens. And all these other holidays, right? But I'm going to jump into Christmas real quick because that's in the scriptures. Birthdays is too, and etc. But I'm going to get on Christmas because that's where people mainly give gifts to each other, and these pastors and these want to be apostles or whatever are passing gifts to each other on Christmas and celebrating Christmas, right? So we're going to go to the book of Jeremiah 10 and verse 2. The book of Jeremiah 10 and verse 2. Slack, bear with me if I'm taking a little while to flip to it. Alright, book of Jeremiah 10 and verse 2. And it says, I'm going to start at 1. Hear ye the word which the Lord speaketh unto you, O house of Israel. Right? So he's talking to Israel. Right? And I'm not going to get in that because that's not the point of my video. But thus, verse 2, thus saith the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them. So he just said not to learn the way of the heathen. And Christmas is following the ways after the heathen, and all these other pagan holidays are following after the ways of these heathens, because these holidays were conjured up by the so-called white man and etc. Right? Mainly the so-called white man made these holidays up. Right? And then verse 3, for the customs of the people are vain, for one cutteth a tree out of the forest, the work of the hands of the workmen with the axe. And on Christmas, most people usually, before people start getting lazy and not wanting to actually go out there and cut trees down, people, when Christmas first started, they actually went out there and cut trees down. They went into the forest and cut the trees down, right? And even now, people still follow that custom because that is the true custom of Christmas, right? And you go into the store and buying the tree, it's just the same. You still following the same. You following the same holiday, right? Christmas is Christmas at the end of the day, right? Verse 4, they deck it with silver and with gold. They fasten it with nails and with hammers that it move not. Right? And there you have it. They deck the tree with silver and gold. What do we deck the trees with now? Silver and gold ornaments, candy canes, etc. Right? It's the same holiday. It's Christmas. Christmas is right here in the Bible, right here for you. And he's telling you not to follow this tradition, right? And following after the ways of the heathen. And we're going to continue to verse 5. They are upright as the palm tree, right? And the trees, they stand upright as the palm tree, right? And that's all I wanted to get on that. But this is clearly talking about Christmas, and these pastors are following Christmas, and these churches are following Christmas. So what's good about these churches? Like, why are you going there? Like, what are you going there for? They're teaching you wickedness, right? We're going to go to Colossians. Actually, we are going to go to that. We're going to go to Colossians 2 and verse 8. All right, the book of Colossians 2 and verse 8. Beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit, after the tradition of men. Christmas is the tradition of men. He said not to let somebody deceive you, so like you with vain deceit, right? After the tradition of men, and this is the tradition of men. Christmas is the tradition of men. After the rudiments of the world, and Christmas is of the world, right? And not after Hamashiach, which is Christ, right? So is Christmas good? Or is Christmas celebrated by the Israelites in the Bible? No. So should we be following Christmas? Should we even Christmas is coming around the corner. I got to get Jimmy this. I got to get David this. No. You should not be following Christmas or any of these other pagan holidays, right? And my point is that you cannot be following these churches. You should not be going to church. If you really want to follow the Most High God, church is not the place to go. Church is the place, if you want to feel good, if you want to get lies anyway, that's what I meant to say. If you want to hear lies and lies and lies and be deceived, right, by the devil himself, go to church. Simple, straight up. That's as simple as it is, Laki. And this is my last precept. 2 Peter 2 and verse 19, while they promise them liberty, they themselves are the servants of corruption. So these pastors are promising you liberty, but they themselves are the servants of corruption, because they're corrupting the word of the Most High God, and they're speaking evil of the words that's coming straight out of the book. Thus saith the Lord. And that being said, I'm going to give all praise to the Most High. Yahweh, which the world calls God, and Yahweh Shai, which the world calls and Yahweh Shai, which the world calls Jesus. And that being said, Shalom, Shalom.